Hi, everyone. We're happy to have you here. I'm Stephanie Sandala, Programming and Outreach Coordinator at LibraryLinkNJ, and I'm so happy to have Bree Mintz here, who is Children's Librarian at Springfield Free Public Library. Bree is going to talk all about gardening projects in and outside the library. Bree, we're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. I'm so excited to talk about this. I don't always get the chance to talk about the garden here, so this is a real treat for me.
So yeah, do you want to go ahead and get started?
Okay. So I want to thank everyone who's watching this webinar. I love our garden so much, and it's such a treat, like I said, to get to talk about this garden. I'm Bree, and as Stephanie said, I'm the children's librarian here in Springfield. I started our children's garden, which is called the Let Us Read and Grow Children's Garden. We love a good pun around here, in 2018. So we've had this garden for quite a while now. And everyone asks me, what made you want to do a children's garden? My mom actually used to work for a local YMCA, and her school had done a square foot garden in a concrete parking stanchion. They drilled out the middle of this parking stanchion, filled it with dirt, and they worked with a master gardener to create a garden for these kids to learn about sustainable produce and sustainable food sources and where their food comes from. So I went and worked with her one day on the project, and I said to myself, I don't know if this is feasible for the library, but I think it's a really good idea. Let me see what we can do. And I ended up working the first summer with a master gardener. Her name is Althea Llewellyn. She's amazing on the garden project, and she helped us secure a grant and get all the funding set up so we could start this garden. We were awarded a 2019 Union County Means Green garden grant, and they came with Groundworks Elizabeth and set up these 4 big like wooden planters. And we actually used a method in the beginning called square foot gardening. So we had these wooden grids across the top of all of our garden beds to maximize what we were growing and really expand on the space. Unfortunately, as I said, the garden did sustain quite a bit of damage in Hurricane Ida. So we're in the process right now of rebuilding, and we kind of have to start all over. We just got the 2023, I believe, Union County Means Green Garden Grant to redo the beds and come back stronger, because last year it was just, we were so excited to be back that we just did a Band-Aid fix of let's get this garden to where we can plant, harvest, enjoy it for the summer. And then in the fall, we'll talk about where do we go from here, because this program has been very popular at my library. It's been a real treat to see how amazingly this garden has taken off. It's been very popular when we do it here. But I will say, if you are planning to do a garden, just be aware, in a library, it is very expensive. So Althea and I had come up with, when we first started this garden, a 5-point plan, which included a realistic time frame for starting the garden, because as you know, gardens have to be planted in a certain time. Certain things have to grow in certain amounts of time. The funding is number 2, and we thought it was most important after the time frame. Sustainability and the involvement, as well as the design. If you don't have a lot of space, that's where the square foot gardening comes in. So as I said, with the time frame, we start discussing the garden sometime in January or March. We have that conversation of what are we growing this year? How are we making that happen? And what is our kickoff date for a planting session? There's a lot of work that goes in before the planting session. Usually one of us is tilling the beds and making sure the beds are ready. The garden's in good shape, which unfortunately this year it's not. It's in passable shape. It's going to be in great shape. And then what are we planting? What are we looking to grow this year? We also have to take into account the weather in our area. We live in New Jersey. Our weather hasn't been the greatest lately, so we've had to kind of wait a little bit longer this year. This is absolutely a months-long project. This might start in January and go all the way to October for us if we planted pumpkins or fall vegetables and herbs. So this is a project that takes up a lot of time when you start the garden. We usually run until about late September because I love Halloween. So we do pumpkins and we do squash and we try to, keep it going as long as possible. Just when the weather's starting to cool off is when we're like, it's time to put everything to bed. It's time to, start wrapping things up. And then we let the garden rest for the winter and then start up again in January, February, March. As I said, with the budget and the funding, that's been the biggest obstacle because this is not an inexpensive project by any means. This takes a village, this project, and it's a lot of person power. It's a lot of money behind this. If we didn't get the grant, there was just no way, unfortunately, we would have been able to do this. The supplies are very expensive and you also need a lot of space. It's a lot of budgetary space. If you don't have a good area on a lawn or in your grounds to do this, it's very difficult. We're very fortunate. We have a really nice kind of square area by our side door that they very graciously let me kind of take over and pull apart, and the grounds and committee let me take over. And we're very thankful because it's a lot of digging up if you're not doing the raised beds. So it's something to consider. Make sure your director and your buildings and grounds committee is aware. We really had to make sure that everybody knew what was happening before I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to let a bunch of kids go play with some dirt on our lawn. Thankfully, everybody was very gracious and thought it was a great idea. So I was very, very fortunate. Also, the supplies for this are very expensive. We had a wish list at one point and I saw the price of it and I was like, there's just some things we're going to have to make do without. We don't need all the bells and whistles, but we've made do and the garden still looks beautiful. You don't always need the most expensive tools. Sometimes just the kids going out there with a plastic spoon has made them so happy. So it's not always, the big things. If you can't work with a master gardener, everybody asks me this, do you need a master gardener? You don't. It's very expensive. I was very lucky the first year. I believe her price was included in my grant. I think we somehow worked it into my grant. It's been a couple of years. I'm sorry. Check to see if your town has a green team. That they have been my secret weapon. I could not do this without them. My town's green team, they are the most incredible people. They have been such an amazing help, especially in the last year, as we were coming back and we were kind of band-aid fixing the garden. I couldn't have done this without them, truly. All I knew was I wanted this garden back, but they were able to take my vision and really turn it into a reality. So utilize your town's green team. If you have one, they're going to be the biggest help. Also, just make sure, like I said, if you have the space, make sure everybody knows you're doing this. Also, another important thing that I didn't even think about, make sure you have a water source because you are not going to realize until you start this garden how much water this garden is going to need. It was not something I thought of until we were kind of like charging full steam ahead. We have a water source. It works, but we could definitely use a little bit more. So just be aware of that too. That's like one of my little hidden tricks was that I just did not realize how much this was going to take. I was of the assumption we live in New Jersey. There's plenty of rain. That's not always good enough. So be aware of that too. One of the things Althea, our master gardener, and I had also discussed was the design. And honestly, your design is probably going to come down to just your space and what you have the feasibility to do. My garden's a little more minimalistic. It's just the beds, the rows of dirt and the plants. That's what we had the space in the budget for. We've talked about maybe including a sensory garden, updating the grounds a little bit. I'm sure this is going to be conversations again. But like I said, with the hurricane last year, we were just so excited to be back that we were just like, let's just go. Let's just do what we can do this year. And next summer, we can figure out what else we want to do. Make sure you, as I said, communicate and coordinate with your buildings and grounds committee if you have one, as well as your director on these plans, because this is something that has to be done collaboratively. This is a group effort, especially if your library has a buildings and grounds committee. The next thing Althea and I had really worked on was the sustainability. So once we cleared the quote unquote hurdles of our budget and, our design and what we were doing and all the little details. The next biggest tasks we had to communicate and work on were getting this garden planted, watered, and maintained, because this is a community effort. If you go on vacation, somebody has to help you water and weed and maintain. I don't go away in the summer, but the rare weekends I had off, if I wasn't here doing programs for the summer reading, somebody had to help me. So again, I say having a green team in town, if you can get in touch with one, if you have one, they are going to be your best friends. Our green team in town has been amazing at making sure everything's watered, everything is weeded when I'm not here, helping me with programs, helping me do the planting, helping me do the harvest days. So that's a big thing too. It's not all on you. You're going to need some help. It's a lot of work. I could not have done this without them or my master gardener in the beginning. Getting this off the ground is the biggest hurdle, but then the second biggest hurdle is maintaining this garden. So it's a lot of work. I personally have done a twice weekly program in the summer where we do story time on Tuesdays and Thursdays from about 10:30 to 11. And then immediately after, because I have that built-in audience, I will go outside with all of the kids and I'll say, hey, can you help me water? We need to weed. There's things that need to be harvested. Can you help me with that? So kind of piggybacking off a program has been a really big help. And I do recommend that because you already have, I usually get 20, 30, 40 kids for story time in the summer. That's a big help right there. That's 30 kids I have pulling out weeds and, watering and what have you. And sometimes I'll have to go back, but at least some of the little bits and pieces I might have missed. Kids are very detail oriented. So having them there is a big, big, big help. We also did a program for a while where one of my friends at the library is an avid gardener. She's incredible. We labeled gallon jugs of water for patrons to come and just water the garden. Our garden is situated next to our side door, so it's right there. And if you're interested, just grab a jug, start watering. And one of us would go check, mid-morning, mid-afternoon. I would do it before I left for the night. And that was a big help. Teamwork is a huge, huge part of this garden. And that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. And that's why I always say, after you get through the hurdle of your budget, of your getting this off the ground, teamwork is the next big, big part of this garden. And that kind of led me into involvement. Alfie and I have always said we wanted to make sure we had our why we're doing this for when we talk about this. And I am such a believer in hands-on learning and in the kid learning where their food comes from and how much work it takes. It doesn't just come from ShopRite. It comes from somewhere. So this garden has just been an amazing tool to encourage them and show them the importance of taking care of our environment and how important outdoor play is for their development. That's more for mom and dad, but it's just been so amazing to see mom and dad realize that outdoor play is just as important as indoor play. I live in a community where my whole street is apartments and not a lot of the kids get to play outside. So it's been very important for me to foster that in my role here. Hands-on learning is so important for especially kids of the age that come and visit the garden most. They're getting to see the relevance of what they're planting and what they're doing and how their little effort and their big efforts, both of those efforts make a bigger payoff in the end. They also get to enjoy enhanced sensory development, getting your hands dirty. Not a lot of kids like to get their hands dirty, but sometimes being outside and seeing other kids model that behavior kind of helps them get over the ick of being in the dirt and learn that it's okay to get dirty. We all clean off. That's why hoses were invented. It promotes really good communication skills, especially in our younger kids. It teaches them you have to talk to your grown-up, talk to your peers. Everything, in this garden has a reason. So we need to make sure everybody knows what we're doing and we've talked about what we're doing. Planting and tending the garden also fosters mindfulness. That's been very important. A lot of the parents really love that too. It's also really important for the kids to see a team effort make something incredible happen. Our harvest days are amazing. A lot of the kids will just take stuff right out of the ground and just start munching. So to see all that teamwork and collaborative effort pay off into something they might not have tried before is just, it's amazing. It's been so much fun. Mostly our kids are using this garden, pre-K through about 4th or 5th grade. I do have teen volunteers. Our high school has a program where you need a certain amount of community hours to finish your graduation requirements, I believe. So a lot of the kids will ask me, hey, can I come do an hour with you guys? I can water, I can weed. And I'll say, absolutely. I can use all the hands I can get. If my garden team is that busy that day, absolutely, come help me, do me the favor. I might be inside, but you're more than welcome to do what you need to do, and I'll come check on you later. I also love intergenerational programs. So having the older generations and the younger generations learn together and work together has been amazing. A lot of my kids sometimes don't see their grandparents as often, so getting to learn from an older peer has been really cool. And it's so much fun to see it. I had mentioned we did square foot gardening in the beginning, which is it's a grid method where you use like a wooden grid system to put over your garden beds, and you plant seeds together that help other plants thrive. So if we planted a tomato plant, we planted some basil next to it. It's basically to just encourage more growth and get the most out of your space. There's a great resource I can put in the chat. The formula for it is really simple too. It's 1 extra large plant per 1 by 1 foot square, 9 medium plants per square, and 16 small plants per square. I had to check my math. This might not work for every garden. Just if it doesn't work for you, just make sure you utilize your space as efficiently as possible. I'm sure if you're working with a garden team, I'm sure they can help you figure that out. And that's basically what I had, Stephanie, for my portion. So thank you for letting me speak.
No, thank you for all the information. It was so helpful too.
I'm very thankful. I don't always get the chance to talk about this garden, so it's very exciting for us to be able to say, hey, we have this garden and we love it so much, and we've been so thankful for all that we've gotten to do with this garden. And we're really excited to get it back up off the ground this year. I'm looking forward to getting this back up now that the weather's finally, hopefully, getting nicer in New Jersey.
Yes, I agree. If anyone else wants to share about their garden projects, Mary Grace, you were sharing earlier, we'd be happy to have you talk about anything, not to put you on a spot, but anyone else is welcome to share as well. So feel free to chime in.
Let me put this in the chat. This was a great resource. The Farmer's Almanac resource.
Oh, and Bree, I'm seeing a question from Bonnie in the chat.
Absolutely.
About, yeah.
So Bonnie's actually my assistant director. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Bonnie. Glad you're here.
Yes. Hi. Great job, Bree. I also just I know you talked about everything with the planning, but some of the awesome programs that we've had.
We've had so many good programs.
So many.
We did a program last year. I love Halloween and fall and all of that. So last year we have been able to plant pumpkins, and they did come up, I believe mid-September they started to sprout and come out. So one of our garden volunteers actually did a program with the kids where she took a pumpkin and the kids were able to hollow it out, get the seeds, and see that pumpkins are just more than decorating. You can cook with pumpkins, you can see where the seeds come from. So that was an amazing program. We did a program, we do a harvest. We try to do it 2 or 3 times a summer. So that's a big program where we just tell the kids, this is what you look for when it's ripe. This is how you know your produce is ripe. We do that about twice a year. And then this year we're trying to do cooking classes as best we can. We don't really have a kitchen, but we're going to figure that out. And we're also looking to do more community-based programs in the garden. So more planting days, more harvest days, more than just twice a week. We think we might be able to do this 3 or 4 times a week. So thank you, Bonnie, for reminding me.
Could I jump back in?
Absolutely.
Because Risa just handed me the 2 books. I'm going to have Seed Library Exchange, and there's going to be, did I come out backwards? Old Farmer's Almanac Vegetable Gardener's Handbook, How to Plant a Garden. For those of you who weren't here earlier, I have the kickoff date for Earth Day, and it'll be library seed exchange. As easy as 1, 2, 3. Takes 3 seed packets, grow your garden, and replace 3. So we're going to start off with the sharing, and these were donated from Baker Creek. We're going to set it up where they will have to register that they're going to be part of this program, and then what 3 they take, and then we'll have a couple of programs in between. But basically, just to get the Montville Garden Club, I'm from Montville, they're going to have a couple of programs over the summer about how to grow plants and things like that. So this is our kickoff. We don't have an actual garden like you do, which is great for kids, but there is a garden in the front that they're tended by the Gardeners Club, and I asked them if they could do a butterfly garden, and they're working on that. So
we're actually going to be doing, I'm hoping once we get a more firm date as to when we're going to start the process this year, we're going to be doing a butterfly hatch. I have to plan it. As you know, as soon as you get them, they start hatching, and you have like 30 days. So as soon as I know, I really want to do a butterfly release with the kids. I think that would be amazing. Another added STEM level of, watching the life cycle. That's definitely on our agenda this year. I just have to get my date because I don't want to release something too early or have something hatch too early, especially not in the library. So as soon as I get my date, we're really excited about that too.
thank you. I just want to say, I was looking for free resources for the butterfly garden, the monarch, but they sent me seeds, but there was only like a small pot package to grow certain plants that would, attract the butterflies. So that was kind of but definitely like if you look for resources, Baker's one of them. There's a New Jersey Department of Agriculture, I forget through where, but I just kept looking at other libraries that have this available, and there are free stuff out there if you keep digging.
And that's the amazing thing, is there are free resources out there, and we've done our garden on a budget and it works perfectly. The kids are happy. We don't always have the budget for the $600 rainwater basin that my master gardener recommended. We did just fine. It works. You don't always need to see big things added to the garden. Maria, I'm sorry, I just saw your comment. I do have pictures of the garden. I have them on my laptop here. I can kind of show everybody. So this was our first year. These were the beds. I don't know if everybody can see this picture. Oh, I'm sorry. This was the first year that we had done the garden. These were the beds that we had done. And these are the ones that are going to be rebuilt by Groundsworks Elizabeth. And then I could show you some of the pictures I have of the kids eating in the garden. So this is the kids in the garden. And then a lot of my kids will just start eating as things are coming out of the garden. They have no problem and I've said to them, maybe we should like kind of dust that off and, clean it off. They have no problem. Once they get over the kind of ick factor of the dirt, they're like, nope, it's going right in the mouth. So, but that's the amazing thing too, is that a lot of my kids have said to me, I didn't know tomatoes came from a vine. I didn't know where my food came from. So showing them that our food comes from the ground, we have to take care of our earth, it's been amazing to watch them put those 2 and 2 together to see this is how my food grows. It doesn't just come in a package in ShopRite. So that's been really cool. And a lot of the moms have said it's kind of inspired them to start maybe an herb garden. I don't have the space in my apartment, but my next door neighbor actually took little like concrete paver blocks, the ones that are like hollow in the middle. And he started like a little concrete paver block garden. He's got a gorgeous tomato crop going. He's got herbs. I think at one point he was trying to grow eggplants and what have you. So you don't always need, a gorgeous, aesthetically pleasing space. My mom did it in a parking concrete stanchion. They just drilled right through the middle, and they made it work, and they had a great garden for years. So it doesn't always have to be, this gorgeous, aesthetically pleasing space. It can just be, we have some space on the lawn, let's just put a garden in. And this is what our budget allows. Our budget, thankfully with the grant, allowed us to have those beds. And we're very, very thankful we're getting that money to replace them. So, and Bonnie actually just mentioned, she reminded me, she actually had some of the eggplant from our garden last fall. Apparently it was really, really good. The kids ate it on me before I had a chance to grab one for myself, but Bonnie, I'm glad you got one. And we grew a lot of herbs too, which is amazing. The kids really like doing the herbs. The smell of it and the texture of it, that's really been fun to see them experience that too.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Bree. And
Thank you
anyone
for-
else is welcome to share and chime in, either in a chat or feel free to unmute yourself. And if you have any fun garden projects at your library coming up or anything you're thinking about doing, you're welcome to share as well.
We did something on a much smaller scale, but it was really fun. There was a high school, or for his Eagle Scout project, built these benches outside of our library. And then on either side of the bench, kind of connected, were planter areas. And he put like a
Wow.
big tub of dirt in each one. Honestly, it was the best Eagle Scout project I've ever seen. I think his stepdad gave him a lot of help, but it turned out great. So for a science program that I do once a week, a couple weeks, we had the kids plant in the planters, and it was really fun. They would come back for future weeks of the program and like always go outside and check on it. So pretty small scale, but that gave me like a taste of doing gardening programs, and it was well received.
It's always amazing to me, like, to how well received it all is. And the kids almost have like an ownership. They'll be like, that's my tomato plant. And I'm like, well, you helped grow it and we're all going to share it. But they're like, no, that's my plant. So getting to see them take almost like ownership and such pride in it has been such a joy too. It's so funny. They're like, I grew that, that's mine. I'm like, it's going to stay here, it's going to live here, but you can always visit. And a lot of the kids love to come back and visit their plant and give their plants some extra attention when they come back. It's so cute. I think somebody had mentioned an Eagle Scout project to me too, where their garden was built by an Eagle Scout, which is amazing. It's such a nice project. And it's a lot less work on us too, to get it off the ground.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for sharing, Jane. That sounds amazing. So wait, which library are you from again?
I'm at the West Orange Library. So
Okay.
yeah, we're actually in the process of moving now to a different building. So we're kind of hoping those benches can come with us, but there's talk of maybe having a gardening space or like an outdoor area at our new building too. So lots of things to think about, but these are some great ideas.
Because that's the one thing I hear from a lot of people is that we don't have the room. And I'm like, I'm very fortunate. Our library is on some decent land, so we can, we have the space, but even just doing windowsill gardens is great and is amazing. So if you have the space in the budget, it definitely is worth it. Maria was asking what was my budget like. My budget with the grant, I don't remember how much I got for the Union County Means Green budget. I'm so sorry. That was a couple of years ago. I know it was enough to do the beds, and I think it was around $1,000. I want to say that they gave me in the beginning. The thing that stopped us last year from rebuilding the beds was the cost of lumber. Last summer was the summer of the supply chain issues. The cost of lumber was astronomically high, and we got a quote and an idea of what it was going to cost us, and we all were kind of just like, it's just not feasible right now. Our budget usually for a program like this, we try not to do more than maybe $400 or $500, I want to say, and that might be being generous. We're getting $750 to replenish the garden this year, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they are going to be helping us replace the beds. I don't know if that's included in the grant. but we are getting a good amount of money. So not all of this money is going to be coming out of our budget. I would definitely encourage everybody apply for grants, apply for the money, because it's very expensive to put the garden in. Once it's in, barring a hurricane like we had last year, if you're doing the raised beds, they should last you quite a bit. And then it's just about getting the seeds and what have you. But I really encourage everybody to look for the grants and look for the money, because it will go a long way. It's a big help. And we're very thankful for this grant this year, because it's really going to change the future of our garden and make sure it's sustainable for the next, hopefully 5-10 years easily. So we had another comment in the chat. Now we're good.
I know NJLA has so much emphasis on sustainable libraries this year. Is there any support like for programs like yours from NJLA?
We got our grant through the county. I have not seen any grants from NJLA yet. I might have missed something, but I'm hoping in the future that's going to be a conversation with NJLA or the next kind of green initiative with NJLA. Not every library can have a garden, but for those of us interested in having one, the ones that have the space, it would be nice to see them, come up with a program to help us. I know we're one of the only libraries, I think, in Union County right now that has a garden. But I know there's other New Jersey children's library gardens out there. I was part of an article, I think the first year, and there was 2 or 3 of us that were talking about library gardens. So I'm hoping as we move into greener initiatives and greener library initiatives that this is going to be a conversation. Like I said to Stephanie, it's not always feasible. You don't always have the grounds, but maybe encouraging indoor gardens, window gardens, something of that nature, some kind of sustainability initiative, I'm hoping is the next phase. A lot of our money, most of my money for this garden came through our community, and our Union County, commissioners. And they have a lot of green initiatives. So I'm hoping as the conversation continues about sustainability in libraries, this will just continue to help us grow the initiative.
Hey, Brie, I just wanted to add in, and everyone, I think what you might have been referring to, Jane, is that Sustainability Forward program with NJLA. And to become a sustainable library, I guess we could look into like more of what that means, Sustainability Forward. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yes.
We'll definitely take more of a look at that.
Yes, absolutely.
And anyone else is welcome to share as well about any upcoming garden projects that you're working on or that you're thinking about, or anything that you want to get started, but you're not sure how to start. I feel like, Brie, as you were saying, space, I think, is always an issue for many of us. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
My last library I worked in Union, and we were on a big hill, and all that was around us was an old Girl Scout house, town hall, and a park. And there was no way we could have ever done a garden. We would have had to do something indoors or a window garden. Here, I'm very, very lucky. I had great amount of space, and the community, as well as our buildings and ground committee, were more than happy to let me do this. I know space is always a constraint, especially in older New Jersey libraries. We were built in, I think, 1969, or we opened in 1969. So I don't think this was a thought back then. Now, thankfully, we have the grounds, but I know there's so many libraries that just don't have the space to do so, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's why I like your suggestion about even a windowsill gardening, which would be fun for kids.
Just a little something in the children's room, as long as it doesn't make a big mess in the, in the children's room, but something even that small can be so amazing. If you don't have the grounds, or you're not allowed to, build on the grounds or add to the grounds, which is always a possibility as well. There's other ways to do this, thankfully, which is amazing. I'm, like I said, very lucky I had a good stretch of land by our side door that they allowed me to use.
Amazing. If anyone else has any questions for Bree, you're also welcome to unmute yourself
Absolutely.
or just share in the chat. I'm happy to stick around and chat some more for a bit.
Absolutely. Maria's doing a seedlings program next month, and I don't know why I think we were just so busy getting the garden off the ground. That might be a conversation. We do this program, an adult program, where it's talking about the biblical plants and what grows well together. And I know she gives out seeds as part of the program, so that's definitely something for me to talk about with my team here, because I think that's an amazing idea. The seed libraries. Start small. That's a good idea. One veggie and one flower is perfect. Start small. During the pandemic, I started my own little window garden. I just started with my basil because I was afraid, I didn't know how the water was going to do with it. I didn't know if it was going to get enough light, and start small and then kind of build up. We kind of started big with our garden and just kind of ran with it because I had so many ideas, but start small is always a good idea. A seed bomb. That's pretty cool. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either, Mary Grace. What's a
I've
seed
never
bomb?
heard of that. Like a bath bomb. Oh, that's cool. Like a
So
bath bomb
it's
for gardens.
yeah, it's something that they're just gonna like throw. They're gonna get the seed in the dirt and then throw it in their garden at home to see what grows.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Right? It's going to be one of the with our kickoff, or I don't know whether it's kickoff or it's going to be on Earth Day, but we're having like an outdoor thing, and then the kids are going to do that.
Excuse me. No, that's a really cool idea.
And that's all flowers. That's
I would say that's a really cool idea. I really like that idea. Excuse me. It's kind of fun just to let them kind of run rampant and just, whatever grows in your yard is good enough.
It's a big surprise.
What kid doesn't like just throwing things with reckless abandon in their yard? My grandma, when we were kids, let us do that. She had like a whole mishmash of like seeds. It was like pansies and what have you. I think wildflowers. And she was like, I think she'd had enough of all of us running through her house. And she was like, just go in the yard and spread some seeds. And we threw seeds everywhere. And the next couple of months, that's all you saw were like little random pockets of like pansies and wildflowers and whatever she had. And she was like, it kept you kids busy for a day. So I couldn't complain what my yard looked like at this point. It's such a good idea. And it'll keep them busy for a good 20, 30 minutes trying to figure out where to sow their seeds. And that's the amazing thing with the kids too. When they plant the garden here, we let them, plant their seed. To watch them, either it's one of two ways. They're very careful and methodical, or it's just reckless abandon. And seeds are everywhere. And we're just happy they're having a good time. Whatever grows at this point. We're just happy to see it growing. But I like that idea. A garden bath bomb.
I still get excited like when I see like new stuff come up, So
it's still amazing to me. And I've been doing this for a while, but I'm like, to see little seeds that we put in the ground 3 months ago now becoming something. And that's why I love talking to the parents about like mindfulness and patience. It does take a while, but look at what happens from your efforts. You made something grow, you made something happen. A lot of the parents are like, you're right. You don't always think of patience and mindfulness coming from a garden lesson, but I've had to learn patience too, because usually like 3 days into the garden, I'm like, why aren't you growing? Like, what are we doing? Like, why aren't you growing? I'm like, I've gotten the patience lesson because I'm so impatient. I want to see it happen. So it's a good reminder for me too, at, an adult age, to get that patience lesson, especially after I've been watering this garden for like 4 days, like over and over and over again. And I'm just like, will something grow, please? Like, don't just be dirt. I like the bath bomb seed idea. That's really cool. I might have to do that. I might have to borrow that one.
if you want, I don't even know what library you're at.
I'm in Springfield.
Springfield.
I'm in Union County, Springfield. Yes.
I could get her information, that the one who's doing
Absolutely.
it,
Thank you.
Amy, and I'll send it to you.
I would appreciate that because I think that's really a cool idea. Might have to just warn the parents, do this in the yard. This isn't something we do, at the library. Please don't spread seeds all over my garden. We're in the middle of planting. That's a really cool idea. Something different for the seed library.
I like that seed bomb idea too, Mary
Yeah,
Grace.
that's
Thanks
a
for
cool
sharing.
one. That's something different.
Does anyone else here have seed libraries or any upcoming Earth Day programs? Well, Bree, are you guys doing anything for Earth Day?
We're actually, it's funny, we're doing dinosaur, let's talk about summer reading, dinosaur planters, and my supervisor is going to be, she's thinking about maybe getting plants for the kids, but we're going to be having that conversation again of it's Earth Day, this is how we respect our earth and give back to our earth. So she's doing planters, which we're really excited about, and then the little kids are going to do painting earth. We're going to be talking about Earth Day in crafts. So we always try to do something for Earth Day, especially with the garden, having the garden. So we're doing 2 little things for the kids. We're really excited about. It also happens to fall during National Library Week. So I don't know if we're going into the schools to read to the kids for National Library Week, but my plan was to bring some kind of spring garden book and talk about Earth Day. We're doing the garden again this year. Would you like to join us? And that kind of thing. So we're excited. It doesn't take much to get us excited. Garden planters, and dinosaurs. We're happy. And Patricia, yes, our garden is organic. We do not use any pesticides. We do not use any kind of weed killer. Is my library organic? I don't know if my library is organic, but I know our garden is organic. I don't know about the library being organic, but I know 100% the garden is organic. We were, my concern with the kids was any kind of weed killer, inorganic substances. I was just very worried. As we all know, if you work with kids, the first thing that usually happens is things go in the mouth. And I was just really worried. I just didn't want any kind of issues. I didn't want anybody to get sick, God forbid. So garden has always been and will continue to be organic. That's something I'm very firm about. I don't want these kids in the dirt that's been treated in an unnatural way. So yes, the garden is organic. The library, I'm not sure about though, Patricia. I'm sorry. I'd have to ask. Bonnie, are we organic in the library?
You said I meant garden.
That I'm not sure about the library, but I know our garden is. That's always something I've been kind of a stickler about, especially this being a kid's garden. It's just too worrisome to think, we get our seeds. I think the women, Althea, the first year was because she was a master gardener. She was getting them from her own sources. I think we also got seeds from the dollar store, and then not the dollar store. I'm sorry, Home Depot. We also had gotten a couple of grown plants, I guess you could say, from Home Depot, so the kids would have something to plant and actually see in its grown state. And then we planted the seed. So it was kind of a lesson on this is the seed, this is what the seed's going to grow into. If you want, you can plant already grown plants. If you want to just do seeds, just do the seeds. Either one works. It's just kind of nice sometimes for the kids to see before and after and kind of put the dots together. Like the seed is going to grow and this is what it's going to become. And it gives them a little something to look forward to and compare and contrast. Yeah, we're big fans of doing things in stages around here and gradual build up, especially when they're this young. They don't always understand, bigger picture. So it's kind of nice to show them, side by sides and compare and contrast. Sometimes the kids will look at a seed and be like, this isn't going to grow into anything. I'm like, trust me, it'll grow. It'll happen. It's just going to take a minute. I'm just as impatient as you are, especially when we do the pumpkins. I'm like, hurry up and grow. I want to see you come out and do your thing. So especially when they're this young, it's a big, big help. My older kids are just like, I know it's going to happen. I'm excited. We're good. But my little kids are just, they're ready to see it happen. So Home Depot is very good for plants. Lowe's is very good for plants. I was very lucky the first year to have a master gardener who had an organic garden, so she got me a lot of stuff. I was very lucky. Your green team too, if they have their own garden, sometimes they like to share and pass it forward and pay it forward. So they're an amazing resource if you have a green team in town.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are the age of your story time kids that are helping out?
My youngest is 15 months usually, and then right up until about 5 or 6. And we get a big crowd in the summer. So anywhere from 35, 45 kids. And we used to, during the pandemic and the flood, do story time outside. And I still have a good amount of room on the garden lawn to do story time. So sometimes we would just, everybody outside, come help us in the garden. So anywhere from about, I think the youngest I've ever had was 8 months to about maybe 5, 6 years. It varies a bit, but it's nice to see the siblings kind of helping, older kids helping the younger kids learning from the older kids. Some of our kids are only kids, so them getting that peer experience and that mentoring kind of experience has been really amazing. At the end of the day, most of the kids just want to be part of it. They don't really care so much who's digging and they just want to help in any way that they can. So having that built-in like audience when you need the garden, it's amazing. I highly recommend it after story time because you got all these little hands and you might have to go back in and pull some extra weeds, but at least they did the most for you and you've got a lot done. So it's a big help. I highly recommend that.
I'll just add in that is the cutest thing ever, seeing the little ones with their tiny watering pots. It's
the
like,
cutest thing
ever.
It's so much fun. And then a lot of them, just like I said, right in the mouth, if we pulled something, a lot of them just don't want to wait to, clean it off. It just goes right in the mouth. I had kids just noshing on peppers in the middle of this garden. I'm like, you might be eating a lot of dirt. And a lot of the moms were like, it's organic, it's all right. It's fine. We'll just dust them off and they're good. They get so excited to try things. I think giving them that experience of you grew this is food you can eat. They feel like that sense of pride and ownership almost. They're a little more inclined to eat, an eggplant that just came right out of the ground or a pepper that just came right out of the ground. A couple of our kids though they're very adventurous eaters. They just don't care. If it's food, they'll try it. If it's got dirt on it, it's nutrients. It's okay. I ate dirt as a kid and I'm okay. I say it to the moms all the time. I'm still here. It's all right. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's totally fine.
I love the idea of getting like kids involved after like a program or after story time. That's such a great idea. Even like teens love it.
It's such a built-in audience. Rather than saying, oh, we're doing this at 11, I'll just say at the end of story time, hey, I'm going outside. It's a beautiful day out. Can you come and help me? And inevitably, I will have almost all of the kids, unless they want to go play, trooping on out with me because they're just so excited to be part of something that special and important. It gives them a sense of importance and they're part of something, bigger. Even the little ones kind of understand I'm doing something. I'm helping. I'm getting to be a integral part of this puzzle. So it's really cute to see. They're just so excited. We have kids that come with their own little plastic spoons because they can't wait and they just want to start digging and fling the dirt around. So it's really fun. And a lot of the kids, unfortunately, like I said, I live in a community where there's not a lot of, open space. I live in a street that's all apartments. So a lot of the kids around me have never had this experience. And that got me thinking, maybe there's kids in this community too that don't have the space to create and explore this way. How do I help that out? And how do I, move that forward and make sure, they get an opportunity too? I know my town has a community garden. I don't think a lot of people know about it though. It's kind of in a weird, like tucked off area. So I don't know how many people know. We have a lot of patrons who are here every day. So we have a built-in audience. So I had the audience to say, hey, help me out with this. Let's make this happen. Let's make this a community effort. So that's a big help, is having that built-in patron base and your storytime base and your program base. They're going to be a big help, and a lot of them really enjoy it.
I forget if you said this already, but is this something that like teen volunteers help out with too?
Our high school does a requirement where they have to have a certain amount of community service hours as part of their graduation requirements. So a lot of the teens, I'll say to them maybe mid-May, hey, I'm getting the garden together. If you're free this summer and can help me out, it counts towards community service hours. So teen volunteers are a big help, because especially if they want to get their hours and finish their requirements, they're a big help. They'll do anything. I had teenagers at one point we had to get fresh soil at one point. And they were all here. Were they happy it was early? Probably not, but they were here pulling that garden apart to get their community service hours. So I highly recommend teen volunteers, because especially if they're getting their community service hours for school, big help. I know I had to do community service hours for college when I was in grad school. I would have done anything. I would have tilled the garden at 7 a.m. if you told me that was an hour. So absolutely utilize your teen volunteers. They're a big help.
No, I like that idea too. I also agree, Bria, what you're saying, a lesson in patience, because I'm also slightly impatient. So when I get into gardening, I'm like, why isn't this thing growing already? Like, why is it not automatically like this bright blooming like plant or like, herbs? So yeah, it is a nice lesson in patience for anyone.
I get that lesson because I just did my basil for the window. I did it like 3 days ago, and I was poking at the dirt last night, and I said to my fiance, why is this not growing? And he's like, honey, you just planted this 3 days ago. Give it a minute to kind of get married to the soil and let it come about. He was like, are you getting your patience lesson? I'm like, yes, because I want my fresh basil to grow. I love having my fresh New Jersey basil. And he's like, give it some time. It's been like 3 days. So it's a good reminder for me too. And, we're so busy in the summer. This is our busiest season. So having this kind of like mindful time in this Zen moment I'm very thankful for it. It's a busy program, but at the same time, getting to be out there with the kids and kind of slow myself down and put all that work into the garden. It's very fortunate for, especially in the summer. It comes in at just like the right moment when we're at our like busiest, and I get that hour outside. I'm like, okay, I appreciate this hour of Zen as dirt is flying all around me. It's very, very appreciated in the summer to get outside and kind of get back to nature and then come back inside to all the chaos. So it's really helpful. Oh, Amy's got info on the plant palm.
Hi, this is
I'm
Amy.
muted. Where's the
Hi,
mute?
Amy.
Are we still
Oh,
muted? Oh,
no, you-
hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good. All I'm doing it as a grab and go for Earth Day with the
Okay.
kids. And I thought it was easy, and we're trying to get away from all those grab and goes, but
No.
all you do is get air dry clay, and you get like drought resistant flower seeds, which I'll show you what they look like.
Then I could send this as an attachment that she has.
Awesome.
I mean, I got mine on Amazon,
Okay.
and you don't need that much to go around. And you take clay, the air dry clay, and you make it into like a little flat pizza. And I'm going to give the kids enough clay to make 3 seed bombs.
Okay.
You take regular soil and you sprinkle some in. You sprinkle some of your seeds in, and you roll it into a bowl so it all comes together, the seeds, the soil, and the clay. You let it dry for 24 hours till it hardens, and then you just throw them. I can't promise what's going to happen,
But
but they'll have fun making it and they'll have fun throwing it.
I would say that's such a great idea. I love it.
You know what? It's simple. It's simple. I have 30 kids coming, and this is what I have left.
Wow.
So you don't need a lot of any of the supplies. I mean, if you want, we could Mary Grace could, send this over to someone,
Absolutely.
the instructions, I can get it, I have it on my computer, so I could just send it over to you guys, but it's
Thank
simple.
you. It's
Just
such a good
Google.
idea. Yeah,
Yeah,
flower
it's
bomb.
simple. See, that's
gonna
what I
have to
like,
look that up.
simple.
I-
All right,
yeah.
ladies,
Thank you so
See ya.
much. It's such a cool idea.
Thank you, Amy.
you're welcome.
Thank you. That was
you.
awesome. So yeah, we love that sheet or handout. So feel free to email that to us later, Mary Grace. I'll follow up with you afterwards.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I know we are wrapping up soon. So if you
Yes.
have any last questions for Bree, yeah, feel free to unmute yourself or put them in a chat. We'll be happy to hear from you.
Yes.
Oh, I can send you the background actually. I actually just Googled Zoom backgrounds. It was like something was like Zoom backgrounds for like meetings. That's how I found it. So I can email it to you after. So yeah, a very simple Google search. But yeah, thank you for that. It does come in handy a lot. So
Okay, I'm gonna send my email in the chat.
okay.
If anybody has any further questions or needs
Yeah.
my assistance, I'm always happy to help, especially if you're just getting a garden off the ground. I'm always happy to help. I'm not an expert by any means, but what I do know, I'm happy to share, because it, like as I said, this is a community effort and it's so worth the effort too. So if anybody has any questions, anything they'd like to ask me, please feel free to email me. I just put my email in the group chat.
Yeah. Thank you, Bree. It's been so
Thank you
great
so
to have
much.
you here too. Yeah,
Stephanie,
it's been
thank
such
you
a
so
great
much.
conversation.
Thank
No,
you everyone
thank
for attending.
you.
Thank you everyone
Yes.
so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Bonnie, for being here too.
Thank you very much,
You're
everyone.
welcome. Thank you, Bree.
Thank you guys very
Thank
much.
you. This was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you guys so much. We'll see everybody soon. Thank you.
Yeah. See you soon.